Hello everybody. As I promised in the last video, today I'm going to be tackling this Himalayan Cedar, Cedrus Deodara. As you can see, although it was a bit raggedy when I bought it after lockdown, it's greened up. I pulled out all the dead needles and yeah, it's looking healthy. A lot of weed growth in the pot, but we'll get rid of that. Big problem with this tree is that it's very top heavy, and that's going to be an issue. And I think I'm probably going to prune away some of this top growth before we even begin to tackle the roots, just to make it a bit easier to handle. The other thing is it's very spiky. It's not the most pleasant tree to handle. Not like the saguaro cypresses, but it's still a nice tree. Himalayan cedars are generally more pyramidal in shape than this one, so I shall be trying to cut back some of this top growth, particularly to try and get it into a pyramidal shape. But it's early days. It'll only be a rough first styling. There we go, $7.99, and yeah, I don't know if I'm cementing my reputation as a bit of a Scrooge or making the point that you don't have to spend a huge amount of money on trees. Anyway, let's have a look at the top of this tree. Right, so I've moved it down off the tabletop just to make it a little bit easier to work on and film at the same time. And need to make some decisions. I need to cut this top back, so I'm going to be fairly brutal with it. And as I say, that's going to make putting it into the new flatter pot easier and more straightforward, because it is very top heavy at the moment. So I'm just trimming away some of this really long growth. That'll make it a bit lighter at the top and easier to handle. Plus I want to aim for that sort of pyramidal shape. That piece seems to have no basis in a final design, in that it's growing from a branch back across the middle, so I'm going to remove that. And of course I don't know where my front is going to be yet, so I don't know how my apex is going to lie, so I don't want to be too brutal, but I do want to remove a lot of this excess growth so that we can get it back to a kind of pyramidal state. And of course this will help balance out the loss of some of its roots when we get to that. Okay, so move it up. That's already made it look a bit skinnier. Not a bad little tree for $7.99, I don't think. So, remove a few more branches from at the top here. I was going to say at the back, but I don't know that yet. Okay, so that's better. Okay, so that's already made quite a difference to the tree, and it's going to make handling it a lot easier, and brings it back into proportion a little as well, I think. So we'll move this stuff out of the way, bring in my tray, and we'll start looking at these roots. So let's get this Tatiel pot off. It's been in here a while, I reckon. It certainly doesn't want to come out without breaking the pot. There we go. A lot of good root, which is nice. Now I shall be cutting the pot off. As before, I'm going to try and get the pot into this pond planter, which will work as an air pot and help with air pruning the roots as they grow out to the side. But obviously I'm going to need to remove quite a bit before I'm able to get this tree into that pot. Now I'm going to start at the top so that I can see if I can find the surface roots, the nabari. Okay, so we have another one of those awful little girdling roots there, which I'm going to chop off. You can get rid of that. Let's see if that'll fit in the pot. Almost. I'm actually just going to take the saw to the bottom of this and get a nice smooth bottom, as it were. Danger of turning this into a carry-on video if I keep saying things like that. So I'll shut up now. Okay, that's quite good, and it also means I can get it relatively central in the pot if I take a little bit more off this side. So again, it seems brutal, but I think the tree will thank me for it in the long run. I'm going to snip off all these bits that are sort of sticking up in the air in an unwanted fashion. Okay, so let's move all this lot out of the way and then we'll get it into that pot. Okay, so pot's prepared. Put in a couple of tie wires, and I don't always tie my trees in, as you will know if you're a subscriber. If you're not, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more exciting stuff. Yeah, I don't always tie them in if I think they're stable enough, but I think because of the height of this tree, if we get any particularly windy weather, it's just going to blow over constantly, so it may as well be secured in the pot, so at least it will stay in the pot and not come out of the pot when it gets blown over. Okay, so just a very gritty mix, as I always use for evergreens. And then the tree has a kind of a lean, straighten, and then if you follow it up, and this may get a bit wobbly, so bear with me, we have a sort of straight section, and then it has a kind of kink back up to the top again. So I'm going to try and have this as my front, at least for the time being, and you know, that may change over the years, but for now this is it. Okay, so first wire, like so, and I said last time I'm going to oil these pliers, and I never did, so pull and twist, and pull and twist. Okay, so I've tucked them down in, and then the second guy wire the same. Pull and twist. No, that tree's not going anywhere now, it's not going to wobble about. Okay, so now we just fill in with some more of the gritty mix, and because the sides are pretty square, it's just simply a question of filling the pot. There's no trying to wriggle the compost in and around the roots, because it's just going in and around the roots. Now, what I might add to this mix is some red wriggler's worms, which I've got plenty in the compost bin. I have a worm bin, and they will go down, they will help to eat away some of that gacky compost, replace it with some worm poo, which will help feed the tree and eventually get washed through out of the base of the pot. And give that a thorough watering. Make sure I wash all the dust particles out. You can actually see some of it rising off the pot. It's not enough just to wet it, you need to really wash it through, otherwise the dust remains in there, and as it dries out the dust particles set at the bottom almost like concrete, and then they won't wash through in subsequent waterings, and then you stand the problem of, or have the problem rather, of them blocking the drainage holes. Not quite such a problem with a pot like this, but with a regular bonsai pot, you know, you don't want a blocked drainage hole. That could mean you drown your tree. So there we go, that should do it. So there's the whole tree in all its glory. Hopefully the sun isn't washing it out too much. You can see we have this kind of bend at the base. I hope you can see there's a kind of kink at the top here. I'm going to try and make that a little bit more visible by removing a couple of these branches that are sticking straight out and obstructing the trunk. Like so. of that. Going to leave a couple of these at the base for gins like I did with the other one. And look at this as being these two I think being my lowest branches. So let's remove that piece that's coming out to the front. Okay. Pruning out stuff that's going in the wrong direction now, and that's threatening to come back across the trunk. And then kind of outline pruning at this stage. As much as anything else, this tree needs to lose some foliage to compensate for the amount of roots that I actually hacked away. And as I said, it does need to be more sort of pyramidal in form. I'm going to take off these shoots off these branches that are going to be will possibly be gins at a later date. As I say, this tree, although it looked a bit of a state when I bought it, it's very healthy now, and so I'm sure it can handle what I've done. Obviously, as always, I will be honest with you guys, and if it croaks over the winter, you will hear about it. I have said before in other videos, I call my channel Sid's Trees, not how to do bonsai or anything like that, because it's about what I do, and whether I do it right or wrong, well, it's about what I do, not what I should do or what you should do. Shorten that off. So there we go, another tree given its first styling. Some heavier branches at the top here that I might seek to replace. In fact, that one's quite heavy. I'll chop it back, and then maybe if this shoots, I can remove that entirely in favour of a finer one. Let's try and give you a 360 best I can, and we'll catch up with this one. Well, it'll be next year now, and yeah, hopefully it makes it through the winter, and I've got a start of a really nice tree on my hands. I'm pleased with it for a first styling. I think it's done okay. Now we just make sure it survives the winter. So that's it for this tree. Thank you all for watching in these troubled times. Please look after yourselves. Stay safe, everybody.